Good afternoon to those of you on the East Coast, and good morning to those on the Central and Western time zones. Wishing each and every one of you a Shana Tova, a very blessed year, a year of peace for Israel and for humanity, a year of health and a year of prosperity. As all of you know, close to 200 rockets, ballistic missiles were sent to Israel yesterday by Iran. As all of you are probably reading right now, there's some very fierce battles in southern Lebanon. And we have a special briefing to address these issues. We want to thank Major General Nadav Padan for addressing these issues and sharing with us his thoughts, his analysis, and his perspective. Major General Padan.
So, Happy New Year, Shana Tova. Yes, there is a majority of significant change in the war in Israel. In a way, it could lead us to a new phase in this war, which means to fight or to change from a war against terrorist or in terrorist configuration to a war between states, which is a totally different thing. What we faced yesterday is the largest ballistic missile attack ever on Israel. It's not even close to what we faced in April 14. That was very narrow, limited attack, targeting bases at the south part of Israel, at the desert. Here, the attack tried to hit the center of Israel, Tel Aviv, Jerusalem, with damages all over Israel. Thank God, because of the behaviorness of the citizens of Israel, and because of our defending system, no one in Israel got injured or got killed from the rocket. The only one that got killed is a Palestinian, a Gazanian Palestinian that lives in Jericho, and he got hit from part of a tail of a missile that intercepted by Israel. But we have damages at the city of Hod Sharon, in the mall of Ramat Gan, the north part of Tel Aviv, in school in Gedera, and there is over 200 buildings that got damages. In Israel, we have to understand that it's not the same kind of rocket that we are dealing with from the very beginning of the war, that launched from Gaza Strip and from Lebanon. Those missiles could carry over 2,000 pounds warheads, which create damages in different scales. The one that saw the video could see the craters that they created on road and places in Israel. The IDF already admitted that 2 of the rockets hit Air Force bases. They didn't been able to damage the operational system, craft, jets, or operational room, but they created damage to a few buildings. Parallel to that, we could see 2 other components that become more active in this war. The attack against our embassy and representatives all over the world. We already published the attack against our embassy in Denmark and in Switzerland, and there were other attempts. And we could see that terrorists from Judea and Samaria mainly trying to take advantage of the fact that Israel under attack and people taking shelter and launching terror attack in Israel. There were 4 of them the last 2 days. One in Jaffa that killed 7 civilians and injured other 14. 2 terrorists that came from the city of Hebron, from the south part of Judea and Samaria, attacked soldier at the light train in Jaffa, stole his weapon and started shooting all over the place. We saw another attack in Herzliya and another 2 along what we call the Green Line between Judea and Samaria area and the heart of Israel. So we're still dealing with multiple arena. The war in Gaza Strip continue. We just fought attempt of Hamas to push the civilian back to the north part of Gaza, and they're using them as literally as a human shield by pushing them and hiding behind them, trying to use these tunnels of human to go back to their headquarters in the north part of Gaza Strip. That was the main friction along the last day in Gaza Strip, parallel to the what we are continue doing at the south, at the Philadelphia corridor and the city of Rafah, and the Netzarim corridor, the center of Gaza Strip, the divide between the north and the south of Gaza Strip. At the north, we're continuing our maneuver, limited maneuver into the south part of Lebanon, trying to destroy mainly the posts and the positions of Hezbollah along the border. Again, not without friction. Unfortunately, the IDF published that we lost Captain Eitan Oster, Zichrono Livracha. He's from my neighborhood, by the way, from Reut. He led a team of the Commando Elite Gauss unit on the way to one of the tunnels in the bunker, the north part of the south part of Lebanon. Just to understand the scales here, Israel already destroyed over 150 positions along the border. So we're not speaking about one position here, one position there. We're speaking about system of tunnels, bunkers, storages. We found there hundreds of kilos of ammunition, mines, rockets, anti-tanks, missiles, and so far and so on. And we continue with this limited maneuver at the south that try to achieve the pushing of Hezbollah north to the Litani River. The whole goal at the north, to remind ourselves, is to create a condition that will allow the people of the north part of Israel to go back to the cities and the villages along the border. And that's contained three parts: to push Hezbollah north to the Litani River, to create a deter, and to limit the ability of Hezbollah to launch short-range missiles toward the citizens that live along the northern border of Israel. When it comes to the Iranian, that's on the focus right now, as I mentioned when I start, it's a different kind of situation. The Iranian felt that they're going to lose their ability to control the system of proxies. And their attack is not only because of the assassination of this general of Nasrallah or whoever, but because they were about to lose the momentum, to lose the ability to support their proxies. And they've been forced to launch this attack, but they could choose more limited attack just to send a message. What they did crossed the red lines that were behind the written agreement in the Middle East. And that will force Israel to respond. So I don't know exactly if Israel decided yet what they're going to do, but the response of Israel not going to be like the response we did after April 14. It's going to be totally different. There is few options that stand in front of Israel from attacking the nuclear facility, the ports, and the energy system of Iran, to attacking main bases and the air force and the missile storages of Iran and other military bases, or to direct the attack toward the leadership of Iran, like Iran tried to hit the center of Israel. So I think that the message that's going to be sent to Iran going to be different than the one in April. And definitely the Iranian will respond to it. So we're going to face a few days of attacks from both sides. It's not going to be an easy day in Israel, not at the south, neither at the north part of Israel, and not when it comes to the whole state of Israel when we're dealing with Iran. So Challenges Day going to open the new year in Israel, and that could lead us to a full-scale war or to a limited war that will continue for a week, 10 days, 2 weeks, not more than that. To my assumption, if we want to do dramatic mistake and the Iranian want to do dramatic mistake, we'll have like a 2 week, 3 weeks of friction, direct friction with Iran, and we'll go back to the same method of terror configuration that we faced the last year till we finish what we're trying to achieve at the south and at the north. If we'll do a mistake, it could lead the whole region, the whole Middle East, to a longer regional war that everybody is trying to prevent. I want to put a quart of salt on the diplomatic effort to solve things with the Iranian and with Hezbollah. Although we hit Hezbollah in a way that you could not dream of, Hezbollah still have a huge arsenal of missiles and a lot of terrorists. The war not going to be easy, and we could not solve it as tough and easily as it seems between the line of part of the diplomatic discussion that been published in the news the last few days. We can send messages. We can create a better situation, better diplomatic situation for Israel, but we cannot solve the conflict in soft way. So don't let the declaration and the speech that sound in the media mislead you. It's not going to be that easy. Yes, while Israel will achieve their goal at the north, we'll be more than happy to have ceasefire. We don't want the war to continue at the north. We want the war at the north to be shorter than what we face in Gaza the last year. We don't want to have a 10, 11 months war in Lebanon. We can solve it in a few weeks, to my understanding and assumptions. The last thing I should say, that don't let this attack or that day or the falling of a soldier to change your perspective of what's going on. We'll have ups and downs. That's the nature of war. At the end of the day, when you look at this war from a bird's eye view, we're going to win it. We're going to win it because we are stronger, because we have better ability, and we have to be tough and strong by spirit and mental and by force at the same time. And we have to have passion and patience, and we're going to win it. We're going to win it because we don't have other option, and we're going to win it because our young generation and ability are doing great at the field and great with keeping the spirit of Israel in the right place. We as FIDF have to remind ourselves that it's a long war, and for the young generation, they're doing great, but struggling, we have to be there. We have to be there to keep their spirit, to keep their mental health, and to make sure that they know that we are behind them, give them the back to win this war of our future, of the future of Israel, and therefore the future of the Jewish people. So we did great this year, and I have to thank each one of you for the support. And we have to continue with making this effort, with making the difference that will allow Israel to win this war. Thank you. And again, if there is no other question, I would say again, let the Shana end with all the Trilotea, and let the new year begin with success and winning the war to our future.
Thank you, Major General Padan. I don't know if it's fortunately or unfortunately, but we actually have a number of questions for you. Let's start with Lebanon, and then we'll move to Iran. We understand that there's close to 50,000 soldiers in Hezbollah's terrorist army. We also understand that most of them have withdrawn to north of the Litani River. The question we have for you is, let's assume that there's success in clearing out the posts, clearing out the tunnels, anything south of the Litani River. If there have to be movements into the Bekaa Valley where there's a Shia stronghold, cleaning that out. Let's assume all that's the case. In the aftermath of that, what is there to prevent all, hundreds or thousands of Hezbollah fighters from coming back south towards the Israeli border? That's question number one.
First of all, they are not soldiers, they are terrorists. Second, there is no longer 50,000. There is a little bit less, thank God. With limited abilities and lack of leadership. For the weeks to come, it will take them, I guess, few months in part of their ability and few years with other to rebuild themselves. When we're forcing them to move north to the Litani River, we create time that allowed Israel to be prepared. They cannot surprise us like October 7 with attack that need like few seconds to move from position that located a few yards from the border and penetrate to our villages and kibbutzim along the border. So when we push them and create time and create buffer zone, we allowed the IDF to respond and block those attacks. That's the first thing. And the second thing that we learn, and I really hope that this lesson learned will be translated to action when it's needed, that we cannot allow those military of terror to live freely along the border of Israel without doing nothing. Pushing them north to the Litani, it's the first step. The second step is to create diplomatically an understanding along the world and inside our people, the understanding that there is no option to let them live freely in this place means that we have to create freedom of operation at the south part of Lebanon in this buffer zone. And if Hezbollah will try to slowly move back to his position, we'll have to act. That's my lesson learned. Hopefully it will be the lesson learned of Israel as a whole and the IDF specifically. So to wrap it up, we create time and we create ability to deal with attention to cross the Litani River and come back to the post along the border.
The second question we have relates to Iran, and that is, it's no secret that it's a very long trip from Israel to Iran. Even for an F-35 to take that trip, it takes time. Do you anticipate that Israel will have the support, whether it is of the Central Command, in terms of them being involved in anything that's being done to Iran, whether it is other countries that may provide the opportunity for Israel to use their runways as a staging base? Would you anticipate that Israel will not have to do this alone, but will have the support of other countries of the coalition of the Central Command?
So Israel specifically cannot let Iranian attack Israel without response. But generally speaking, Iran is not the problem of Israel, not only Israel. It's the problem of the free world. And so far, most of the country enjoy the fact that Israel is in the front, doing the dirty job for the free world as a whole. You can sit in Europe without putting your soldier in risk and let Israel do the dirty job for you. But the truth is that we have to have a coalition that will deal with Iran. And we have to have this coalition because this war is not only at the field, it's not only a question of the ability of F-35 to attack this target and that target in Iran. It's definitely achievable, and it's part of the operational plans of Israel. And Israel already proved that it's now how to get into the deep into the state of Iran and target military post after April. That was just an example. We can accelerate it in a way that the Iranian could not believe. We can do a lot of damages, but to fight Iran, you have to have a multiple layer kind of a campaign that deal with their economy, will deal with their ability to move freely in the world, to spread their terror all over the Middle East and other places. And it's not a kind of campaign that Israel can do by itself. Israel cannot launch sanctions that will force the economy of Iran to the place it should be forced when they act like they are acted the last few years. And it's not only about launching rockets toward Israel, it's about having proxies that unstabilize and create friction and kill people. Christian, my other minorities and Jews all over the Middle East, in Africa and other places. So it's definitely not the war of Israel by itself. So my expectation is for the free world to be part of this coalition. And my expectation from Israel is to understand that if it's not happened, we have no other option but to do it, whatever we can do by ourselves.
Mm. Iran understood that breaking the red line, as you described it, was going to be bringing a response, whether that response is just from Israel, whether that response is from the coalition members as well as Israel. What was Iran's calculus? Was that justifying themselves as the leader of the Shia caliphate? In other words, what was their logic in doing this, knowing that they stand a serious, serious chance of losing strategic assets and being humiliated?
I'm trying to be very moderate and conscious of trying to fully understand what I have in mind, especially after October 7. But to my assumption, they had no other option. They were about to lose their hegemony. Their proxies are doing poorly. The Houthis in Yemen could not do much and suffer from great attack from Israel. Hezbollah were under a lot of pressure, losing all its leadership and losing significant part of its ability that's been built by years by the Iranian. They were in shock from what Israel could do to Hezbollah after they do all those schwitz about covering Israel with rocket and destroying the state of Israel and so far and so on. So to my understanding, they were in kind of junction that they have two options. One is to give it up and lose their hegemony and ability to spread their influence in the Middle East like they do over the last year, or to do kind of dramatic act to show the proxies that they're backing them, they're not by themselves, and they'll help the Hezbollah and the other proxies with the fight against Israel. The thing is that they could choose different kind of attack. They could choose attack that is, I would say, more closely to the one that they did in April, which is more limited. Send a message without taking risks. They take a huge risk in this attack. As I mentioned, they target the center of Israel with huge amount of ballistic missile. By the way, they learned the lesson from April 14. They didn't use drones. They didn't use a cruise missile. They understood that 100% of them been intercepted, and the only tools that penetrate the defense system were the ballistic missile. small numbers. In the interception percentage is great, but still, when you're launching 180 missiles, you have 90% interception. It means that almost 20 missiles with 2,000 pounds warhead each hit Israel, and they, as I mentioned, created damages. That's kind of decision was a very risky decision, and to my understanding, they were under lots of pressure. It doesn't show strength by weaknesses. It shows how weak is Iran when we start pushing it to the wall. And for me, it's turn on a light of optimistic idea of taking Iran from their ability to influence in the Middle East like they used to over the last years. I'm not speaking about eliminate Iran. Iran's a big country. It's a strong country with a lot of assets and ability. They're gonna stay and influence in the Middle East, but on the same level and way that they did over the last years. I mean, people are looking at Iran differently after, mainly after the last 3 weeks, and the ability of Israel to destroy significant part of Hezbollah as terror organization. I'm speaking about the leadership and other assets of this terror organization.
Those ballistic missiles that were sent yesterday, is the only vehicle that Israel has to take them down the Arrow 2 and Arrow 3? Or can they be defended against using David's sling?
The Arrow is the main tool to intercept those missiles, and it's not only the Arrow; it's also Patriot and jets like F-35. 12 of the cruise of those ballistic missiles been intercepted by American and others by the coalition. The Jordanian very bravely published that they intercept one of the missiles at the coalition that's run by the American Central Command. There were other countries like French and Britain and other regional countries that are part of the American coalition that don't want to be mentioned, but they are part of it. So and the U.S. Coalition member doesn't have the Arrow, so part of the missile been intercepted by jets and by Patriot missiles. The Patriot 2, with few adjustment, could intercept ballistic missile. Not the same efficiency as the Arrow, but it could.
Please comment on this if the assumption of this question is wrong. The large majority of those missiles that were shot at Israel had to take down. Even though the airspace, or how do they say it, the space in the distance that it takes to get to Israel, most of that is covered by the Central Command, but yet it seems that not many of the missiles were taken down before they came into Israeli airspace. Is that scary? Is that something we should be very concerned about?
Oh, for sure. I mean, look, when we're speaking of ballistic missile, they cruise is out of the atmosphere and back to the atmosphere. When the missile get out of the atmosphere, most of the tool that the CENTCOM have cannot deal with it. Mm-hmm. The advantage of Arrow 3 is that it could act out of the atmosphere. It's kind of a attacking satellite, if you will. It's getting out of the atmosphere, detect the missile out of the atmosphere and kill it before it gets back. And the only tools to deal with those kind of challenges so far in the Middle East is the Israeli tool, the Arrow 3.
Thank you. The attacks that we saw, as you mentioned, on the Israeli embassy in Switzerland, the Israeli embassy in Copenhagen. In your opinion, do you believe that was coordinated by the Iranians?
Oh, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a belief; it's a known. We know it is. That we have question about the coordination between the Palestinian terrorist attack on Judea and Samaria and the Iranian. That's under question marks. We didn't figure it out yet. But the attack all over the world, there was another 3 attempts in other embassies that been intercepted by the local police with the intelligence of Israel before. But it was well coordinated by Hezbollah and the Iranian. Let's say the Iranian and its proxies.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a global war.
Yeah. To all of you listening, we have our fair share of challenges for this coming year. We have what to pray for this coming year. You don't have to look very far. And we want to wish each and every one of you, we want to wish the soldiers of Israel, the people of Israel, who really are at the forefront of humanity. We want to wish them incredible strength, incredible success. And we look up to them as moral role models, as ethical role models, and we look up to them as sacrificing their youth, their innocence, sacrificing their lives, really not just for the people of Israel, but to try to prevent the 21st century from devolving into depravity, lawlessness, corruption, evil. They're everything that's beautiful in this world, and they're everything that's beautiful about humanity. And they're in our prayers, they're in our thoughts, and we support them. We support them in any way that we can, educationally, their well-beings, their welfare, whatever it takes. Major General Padan, we want to wish you a Shana Tova, to you, to your family, and we'll be back in touch after the holiday.
Shana Tova.